Hey guys, what's going on? Drax here, and today I'm going to try and show you how to set up an Arc server and to configure that Arc server. If you guys don't really know how to open ports on your computer or anything like that, I'm not going to show you how to do that in this tutorial, but you will be able to find other ways to find that out. But you will have to open, I think, about 3 different ports on your computer, depending on what you set them in the config files, and then you have to, or 2 for Arc and then 1 for Steam. So what I'm going to show you is how to get the Arc server set up, and then I'll show you how to edit the config files as well as on the server and in single player. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to turn off the camera, that way you have full view of the screen. And what I'm going to do first is I am going to go and download Steam CMD. Now I'm just going to type in Steam CMD into Google. And it's going to be this first one you see. It's Steam CMD by Valve Developer Community. And then this first one right here, if you just click that, you'll be able to go straight into this link right here. This is the download. So what that's going to give you is that's going to give you a zip file. What I did is I just right-clicked on that and I extracted that to a folder called Steam CMD. And that's where you see this one right here. Now, if we go ahead and open up this file or folder, there's not really anything in it. But what we can do is we can go ahead and double click on that, and I can hit run. And if I bring this over, you'll see that it's starting to download a bunch of stuff, extract a bunch of stuff, and get everything going for us. And so once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and type quit just this one time, and that's going to close it out. You don't want to hit the X on that. It's bad juju. But what I'm going to do next is I am going to make a text file in this folder. And what that text file is going to do, I'm just going to do right click and then do text document. And then I'm just going to click on that and I'm going to open that up. I'm going to use Notepad++. You can use whatever Notepad or WordPress or whatever Word document you might have. But in this folder, I'm going to take this command line and I'm going to paste it. And so what this is going to do is this is going to start the Steam CMD exe, that same program that we clicked on earlier. It's going to log in with your Steam username and password. And for now, I'm just going to use anonymous. I don't know how to spell anonymous. So I'll look that up here in a second. But it's going to do that, and then it's going to force install Steam to a particular area. Now, I was close. Let's go ahead and take that and just paste. There we go. Anonymous force install directory C equal C drive, and then the Arc folder app update yada yada. 346110 is Arc. So what I'm going to do there is I went ahead and on my spare D drive, I went ahead and made a Arc folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to D, and then I've just for my own sake is I'm going to change this to all uppercase. So now we're going to have this folder. It's completely empty. So I'm going to save this now. I'm going to do File, Save As. You can do this in Notepad as well, regular Notepad. I'm going to save this as a .bat file, and what I'm going to name it is I'm going to name it my update arc file. I'm going to save it, and then right over here we should find update arc. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. I can actually delete this text document because I don't no longer need it. And now what I'm going to do is when I double click on this update arc, we'll see it here. It's going to go ahead and connect to Steam. It's going to log in anonymously. It's waiting for license info and it's doing all this stuff, and you can see that it's actually starting to put stuff in this folder. So this is going to take a while. Arc is pretty big, so this is going to take a while to download and everything, but this is where you're actually doing the process. Now, this update arc file or this update arc that you made, this batch file, this is where when you stop your server and you need to do an update, you can actually just click on this again and it'll update your server right then and there. You don't have to actually go into Steam CMD and do this. It's a lot easier. It's pretty simple to do this. I'm going to actually link in the description down below the tutorial that I follow when I'm setting up an Arc server, and hopefully that'll help you guys out too. But I'm going to go ahead and let this download and go through its processes, and then I'll bring you guys back just as soon as it finishes up. All right, guys. Well, the process is just about to finish up here. What you'll notice is when this does finish, the program will automatically quit out, so you won't have to like type quit or anything. You'll be able to just, it'll quit out on its own. Now it's going to commit the changes. So now we're going to start to see all the server files flow in and everything. And we should be pretty well set to go here in just a few seconds. Now, another thing, we're going to want to go ahead and in the shooter games, and then we go to binaries, and then we go to Win64. This is where your server stuff starts. So let me go to that again. Go to your ARC file. You go to shooter games, binaries, Win64. And so this is the area where you're going to start your server and everything. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create another text document in this file. Just like that, we're going to do it the same way we did before. We edit it with Notepad++, and then we're going to add this in. And again, this will be in the tutorial that I'll link. You guys will be able to find this and copy it yourself. But this is kind of some information about your server. So you have start shooter game server.exe. That's going to start the server. It's using the island map session name equals server name. So this right here we can actually change, and I'll just call it like Draax server. And I could have a max players of 200 or whatever, or and these are the two ports you're going to want to set. So if you know how to open your ports, you'll need to open 27015 and 27016, or you can change these to make them whatever you want if you already have some games on these as well. So there's a couple of other things you can actually throw in here as well. And on this tutorial that I'll link you guys, it has some other stuff. But there's like this right here where you can throw in a server password. So I can go ahead and change this to Draax is the greatest. And so that can be my password to my server. You can also, start to change some of your configs in here too. But I would wait. I wouldn't do a whole lot of that stuff. I would change as little in this file as you can, and then we'll go to the configs and change that as well. So I'm going to go ahead, do another save as, and I'm going to change it to a .bat file. And this one I'm going to name start arc server. You can name it whatever you want, just so you remember what it is. We're going to save. I'm going to close that, and then I am going to, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and delete this text document again. And so now we have the start arc server. It's all set up, ready to go. We can actually go ahead and start the server now. And if you do that, you'll notice here, let me go ahead and start it up, and let me drag over the command prompt just as soon as it shows up. It takes a minute, but you'll see this right here. It's going to starting the server, and it's going to get there, and it's going to, populate all the rest of the stuff. Now we're going to go back to the main ARC folder, and once your server starts all the way, I don't think it'll show up yet. Oh, it actually has. So you can go to shooter games, saved, config, Windows Server, and this is where your server configs for your server are going to be. The main one that you're going to want to deal with, and I'll put a link to where I look at all of my server configs. There's an ARC wiki page that has all server configuration stuff that you could ever want, and it's well laid out well with some pretty decent descriptions next to it. But if we go ahead, it's still starting up. So this primal game data is how much the core game takes to start, I think, and then we'll see full startup time, such and such. It'll probably take a minute or two here, but yeah, if we go ahead and right click on game user settings, we can edit this with a regular notepad or Notepad++. And then in here's where you're going to find a lot of different of your configs. This is the important one. Most of the time, the stuff at the top, all of this is not really necessary. You don't need to change this, especially on a server. But I guess it's not fully populated yet. So yeah, let me go ahead and let the server go ahead and start all the way, and I'll bring you guys back. All right, guys, so the server is up and running. You can see it back here. It says full startup in 213 seconds. And so now we have our game user settings file, and it should be populated with everything that we need. There it is. You can see server settings right there at the top, and it's all set to go. So this is where all of the server configuration stuff's going to go. There's going to be some stuff down here at the bottom, like your session and your max players, but most of that was set in the server start command. or .bat file. So up here, I'm just going to go under the last one, and I'm going to make some space for us. And then I'm going to go to this website, and you can see it's arc.gamepedia.com/server configuration, server _configuration. Now, I'll link this in the description down below. That way you can go to it yourself. And so this is going to have kind of part of the way down, it's going to have a game user settings.ini section, and that's the file that we're in. But this is where we can kind of change some of our stuff in regards to our server. Now we could put our max players, we can have a difficulty offset. So if I want to have it to where the Pooping Evolve server is, I can put it on 4. I could go ahead and add in a server admin password. Server admin password could just be Draax is dumb, you know, why not, you know, server admin password. Could also set up a spectator password that people could use anytime they want, and I could set that to something like I want to see. You know, it could be whatever you want. So that's some of the easy stuff. Now we're getting, so you see here we got a day cycle speed scale, we have a nighttime speed scale, and a daytime speed scale. So on the Pooping Evolve server, now this is what we changed this stuff to. So I'm going to go ahead and put both of these in. I don't adjust the actual cycle, but I do change this because we want to have shorter nights and longer days because we record. The nighttime is bad for recording. So what I do is I go ahead and I make the night 3 times as long as what it normally would be. If I wanted this to be default, it would be at a 1. But I want it to be 3 times as short. I want it to go 3 times as fast as it would normally be. So I want to go higher. On the day side, I want it to be shorter. Or, I'm sorry, take more time. So the night will go faster, the day will be longer, right? Okay, sorry if I confused you there. So that's something you can change there. You could change like dino damage multiplier, structure damage multiplier, stuff like that. There's an XP multiplier, so you could change this to like what we have on the Pooping Evolve server, and I think what we have is something like, I want to say 2.5. Yeah, the zeros at the end don't really matter. And then, you know, you could add in some other stuff like a taming speed multiplier. I could put to something like 6. You know, you could do that. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? So I'm going to go ahead and check something out here real quick and see. Just want to check what our actual settings on that server are. So we have our taming speed multiplier is 6. We have a harvest amount multiplier, which you see right here. Go ahead and copy that, and I can put that in as well. And we can have that on 6 as well. And then our XP multiplier is on 4. I don't think that's right. I think it is 2.5. So that's some of our settings that we have. We do have the difficulty offset. Oh, no, this is for a different server. Yeah, so I think ours is on 2.5. We have our difficulty offset is much higher. And then you can see here, harvest health multiplier. I mean, you could change all kinds of stuff. And this website does a really good way at kind of telling you how to adjust a lot of those things. If we go ahead and open it up fully here, you know, it's come up here back to the top. There's all kinds of stuff. There's a bunch of... it's basically telling you what they do. There's a bunch of ways, you know, that they tell you to do stuff. You can put in a ban list. You can change how many items per structure and everything like that. You can even, now this is where a lot of you guys have been asking me as well, is how to change the babies. So the babies are going to be right down here. Let's go ahead and scroll back down. This was in the patch notes, but you can have an egg speed or egg hatch speed multiplier. Let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to change that. Ours on our server is set to 16. We got a baby mature speed multiplier. This is also set to 16 on our server. Then we have a mating interval multiplier. And this on our server is only set to 4, but we'll probably be upping that because it just takes a really long time. There's some other stuff, you know, that they've added in over time and everything. But you could, you know, just save this just like that. And then I could go ahead and stop my server. I just hit the X on this command there. And I could reload it by clicking on this, what we had over here, this, not the update arc, I'm sorry. It was in the shooter games, binaries, Win64, I would suggest sending this if you go ahead and send to desktop. That way you have a shortcut for it all the time. And then I actually do the same thing with the update arc. That way I can go ahead and I can stop my server, double click update arc, and then start the server right afterwards. So I'm going to close this for now. Another thing that we can get into here is if I go back into Arc, Shooter Games, Saved, Config, Windows Server, we have a game.ini file. Now the game.ini file is where we're going to adjust some of the more finer details of Arc. You'll notice that when it loads up, it's actually empty by default, and that can be really frustrating, especially for somebody that doesn't know what they're doing and hasn't looked at this before. For me, it was very, very aggravating as well. So you're going to notice some higher end stuff in this one. So what we can change in the game.ini file. Well, again, this same website has a section called game.ini that we can go into. We can change the engrams. We can change the dino spawn weight multipliers. So this is something like if you guys wanted to turn down, let's say, turn down Meganernas like we do on our server, you could just take all of this. Now, I'm going to take the actual section that they have over here and just kind of show you. But we could go ahead and set this inside. I'm going to paste. And then we need to change something else here real quick. I forget what it is. Yeah, there's something you have to change in here. Dino spawn weight multiplier. And it must be placed entirely on a single line. Multiple dino spawn weight multipliers and can be specified in a file, but dinos should never be multiple. Okay. A larger spawn rate. Yeah, there's something in particular that has to be under, but I don't know. You might be able to just do that. I think this tag here in the front will do it. But you can see you can change all of the different dinos here. There's a tag that is going to be these tags. There's a factor. So you can see here you got a dino tag Bronto. The spawn weight multiplier is 10, so it's going to spawn 10 times more than it normally would. And then you can change the limit. So you can have a higher limit on what's the chance of them spawning. You can also change level experience ramp, so you can change how much experience you get into. I haven't really messed with that too much. What I have changed is like our global spoiling timer. This is bugged. You can still see it here as of patch 196. There's still a bug where items moved to nearby players' inventory have spoilage timers reset to normal values. That's still a bug. You have item corpse or item decomposition time multiplier and item decomposition corpse multiplier. I actually do add these in. Let me scroll back down here. Every time I change the size of the screen, it does change slightly. So I usually will take this and I put it in, boom, and then I'm not going to do that one because I don't have that one set, but I do have this one set to 3. So that changes the corpse decomposing state from 15 minutes to 45 minutes, which makes it a lot easier to find how much you have. And then there's some other stuff that you can change in here, like how close and how far away stuff responds from structures and dinos. And there's, platform saddle and, some other stuff. So that's basically it, guys. If you guys have any questions or anything, please let me know in the comment section down below. If I need to, I will do a follow-up video on this. But yeah, that is basically how you set up and configure an Arc server. Now, let's do something here real quick as well, is if you're on single player, a lot of you guys have been asking me about that. You're on single player, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Arc on Steam, and I'm going to go to Properties. If I bring this over, I'm going to show local files. I'm going to browse local files. So you're going to see Shooter Games in here as well. So double-click Shooter Games. I'm going to go to Saved, and then I'm going to go to Config, Windows, No Edit, and you can change them here as well. Your server stuff is probably going to be saved there, and yeah, you'll just want to go into the configs, Windows, No Editor, and you could change everything here as well. I think if you're on Mac, it changes it to Mac No Editor, or Linux, it's Linux No Editor. I'm not sure. I haven't messed with that myself, but that's what I hear. But yeah, guys, I hope that this helped you out. And like I said, if you have any questions or anything, please let me know in the comment section down below, and I will be happy to help you out if I can. So, all right, guys, my name is Draax. Have a good one.